Your passwords are your digital perimeter. And when you trust cloud-based managers, you're handing control of that perimeter to companies, typically with a documented history of pretty catastrophic security failures. Local open source password managers like KeePass and KeePassXC consistently outperform those kind of cloud-based alternatives that actually exist, specifically on things like security, privacy, and control. And I'm going to try to show you exactly why. Cloud-based password managers became popular because they're convenient, right? Like they sync across devices fairly easily, making life a lot easier for users who actually want their passwords to be everywhere. But that convenience comes with a fairly massive security trade-off. Your passwords end up living on someone else's server, essentially. And that creates a centralized target that attackers can actively hunt. The LastPass disaster perfectly illustrates why this particular model specifically just fundamentally fails on multiple levels. In August of 2022, attackers breached LastPass development environment after compromising a developer account and stole source code and internal documentation. And by November, they had used that stolen information to actually access LastPass's third-party cloud backup that contained customer passwords and that contained customer password vaults. LastPass didn't fully disclose the breach until December, finally admitting that both encrypted vault data and unencrypted website URLs were actually compromised. But the attackers weren't finished. And in March of 2023, they actually took it even further by exploiting a vulnerability in Plex media software running on a senior DevOps engineer's personal computer. They installed a keylogger and stole his master password and accessed LastPass's corporate vault directly. And this gave them the decryption keys to unlock stolen customer data from over 25 million users, resulting in millions of dollars lost through related attacks. Even so-called zero-knowledge cloud services remain vulnerable through compromised employees, flawed infrastructure, and supply chain attacks. When Bruce Schneider, one of the industry's leading security experts, says that security by obscurity simply doesn't work, he's talking directly about this problem. Cloud-based managers rely on obscurity, hoping that users won't look too closely at their architecture. And a lot of times they can't because it's closed source. Local open source password managers take the opposite approach. They're not just theoretically safer, but they're actually fundamentally much more superior by design. KeePass and KeePassXC, for example, store your encrypted data directly on your device, eliminating the entire category of cloud-based threats altogether. There's no remote server to actually breach, no third-party storage vulnerabilities, and zero reliance on external companies, their security practices, or their promises. And what makes open source solutions even more powerful is their transparency. Security researchers, independent developers, and users can audit the code themselves. Vulnerabilities get exposed and patched way faster because there's nowhere to actually hide weakness or backdoors. This constant scrutiny from a global community creates inherently more secure software than what closed source teams produce behind corporate paywalls, basically. And when we look at the actual technical implementation, local open source managers build security into their core design rather than just bolting it on afterwards. KeePass encrypts your entire database using AES-256 encryption with alternatives like Cha-Cha-20, Twofish, and Serpent available for users who want different algorithms. It doesn't just encrypt individual passwords, but rather the database as a whole. And it ends up staying secure using authenticated encryption that actually prevents tampering. KeePass also resists dictionary attacks through advanced key derivation functions like PBKDF2 and Argon2, which make brute forcing attacks computationally expensive. The software encrypts sensitive data in memory to block keyloggers and uses cryptographically secure random number generators for password creation. And these aren't just like flashy buzzwords that are actually put out there. The whole point of it is to be fundamentally secure on a whole different level. Security measures are built in to the actual architecture. KeePassXC expands on these foundations with native cross-platform support and modern security integrations. It works seamlessly with hardware security keys like YubiKey and OnlyKey, including built-in TOTP generators for two-factor authentication, implant databases, lockout timers, provides automatic clipboard clearing, and offers browser extensions designed with the security first principle. The software supports multiple encryption algorithms simultaneously and implements memory protection against things like cold boot attacks, where attackers try to read data from RAM after the system is shut down. Now, both managers use KDBX 4.0 database format, which includes authenticated encryption with ChaCha20, Poly 1305, and Argon2 key derivation that's more secure than older PBKDF2 implementations. Compression to actually reduce database size, binary attachments with separate encryption, and custom data fields for extended functionality. This technical depth just does not exist with cloud-based solutions that I'm aware of. If you're aware of them, let me know in the comments about them. The cloud-based solutions instead prioritize convenience over security. The LastPass incident really wasn't some, isolated failure. It's part of a kind of consistent pattern that's affecting the entire cloud password manager industry, if you will. Norton LifeLock had thousands of password manager accounts actually compromised in 2023 through credential stuffing attacks. Bitwarden faced criticism in 2022 when security researchers revealed that potential website URL leaked through their browser extension. There was no breach with them, just to be clear. It was just that little thing. OneLogin suffered a breach in 2017 that actually allowed attackers to decrypt user data directly. And Dashlane had experienced multiple security incidents involving unencrypted user data. These breaches absolutely expose systemic flaws that affect all cloud-based solutions. That's inadequate network segregation, which allows minor compromises to escalate into major data theft. Companies delay breach disclosures, keeping users in the dark about the actual risks. Remote work environments also introduce entirely new attack vectors, like the Plex vulnerability that compromised LastPass, and every third-party dependency creates additional vulnerabilities that users couldn't control or even see a lot of the time. So beyond security, there's a privacy dimension that most people don't consider. Right? Like cloud providers commonly monetize user data through mining and tracking behaviors. They know which websites you visit, when you log in, how often you actually change your passwords, and in turn can do things like build detailed profiles of your digital habits. Local managers don't collect or store or sell any of your info because there's no business model that it's actually requiring it, right? Like local storage also protects against legal demands, things like regulatory overreach and government surveillance programs. When your passwords live on your device, there's no central honeypot for authorities to target with warrants or national security letters. There's no forced registration. There's no telemetry at all. There's no hidden agendas. It's just secure credential management without any of that nonsensical corporate or governmental interference that you're going to get with those centralized ones. Now, I know there's a lot of you out there thinking like, this sounds great for security, but what about convenience, Sam? Well, like modern local password managers have largely solved the usability challenge that users really had in the past, the things that used to actually make them difficult for your average user. Synchronization works seamlessly through whatever method you actually choose. Now, I don't encourage this, but obviously there's Dropbox, Google Drive, or self-hosted solutions like Nextcloud. Go with that one. That's the one I would advise. Again, I don't advise that you actually do use those, though, minus Nextcloud if you're running it yourself. You could also transfer directly between devices via USB or a local network, maintaining complete control over the how and where your data actually moves. So for backups and recovery, local solutions actually provide advantages over cloud services. You control your backup process directly. You create multiple redundant copies across different storage media and never risk being locked out by a service provider. Unlike cloud services that might suspend your account or, suffer their own data loss, your local backups provide a genuine resilience that you could actually verify and test independently. The usability improvements in modern open source managers are pretty impressive, to say the least. They integrate seamlessly through web browsers and through well-designed extensions that offer mobile apps for major platforms, in some cases with biometric authentication support and feature interfaces that are absolutely intuitive enough for non-technical users. Great example of that would be KeePassXC's interface, which feels modern and responsive, but also they have a portable version that runs without even installation, which you can use on things like public computers or, work computers. But to get the most security from your local manager, focus on a few key practices, right? Like your master password serves as the cornerstone, if you will, of your entire security model. So create a passphrase of at least 15 characters using things like unrelated words, special numbers, and special characters. Diceware-generated passphrases offer strong randomness that's difficult for attackers to actually predict. The three options stand out for different use cases. KeePass has been a gold standard since 2003, supporting a widely adopted KDBX format with a very good encryption options, including the AES-256, Cha-Cha-20, and Twofish. It offers an extensive plugin ecosystem for customization. It undergoes regular security audits and provides portable versions that require no installation. KeePass has really, kind of proven its own reliability through 2 decades of active development and security testing. And next, we have KeePassXC, which represents a more modern evolution of this approach, I would say, as a community-driven fork with native apps on Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. It features a cleaner and more intuitive interface while maintaining all the kind of security advantages that you get with KeePass. For Unix and Linux users that are comfortable with the command line tools, Pass offers a minimalistic yet powerful solution that follows Unix principles of doing one thing really well. And shout out to Not an FBI Honeypot if he's actually made it this far. It uses proven GNU PG encryption, integrates directly with Git for synchronization and version control, and stores passwords as encrypted text files. Pass provides complete transparency and control without graphical complexity, making it perfect for CWADE 12c or for users who prefer direct system integration. Each of these solutions provides security advantages that really no cloud-based manager can actually match because they eliminate the fundamental architecture vulnerabilities that make cloud services attractive targets to attackers. Complete data control, transparency through open source code, and a significantly reduced attack surface make local password managers the clear choice for anyone serious about digital security. And the evidence is fairly overwhelming when we look at it like this. Cloud-based password management trades genuine security for superficial convenience. Every major breach proves this absolute model and shows the fundamental flaws that go along with these centralized password managers, while local open source alternatives provide stronger security, complete privacy, and true control over your actual digital perimeter, like we were talking about before. The choice really isn't between convenience and, security. It's actually between genuine security and security theater. When your passwords are your digital perimeter, you want real, actual protection, not corporate promises that over time have been shown to fail repeatedly when actually tested by able-bodied, and determined attackers that exist in the wild. So let me know if you plan on switching to one of these password managers. Actually, you know what? Don't tell me. Just do it. You're more than free to just leave a comment saying I like the video. We can do that. Don't disclose what you're doing or I don't want to know. Keep it to yourself. OPSEC 101, right? In any case, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.